It's time for an indoor garden update, and the cilantro is looking amazing. I do wonder though, I don't know if you can see, the edges of this leaf are just a little bit yellow. I've noticed it on a couple of the other ones as well, so I did put the light up a little bit just to make sure it wasn't too much light. And last time I gave them food, I only gave them a half feeding, so I think that what I will do is they're due for a feeding today. I am going to give them a full strength feeding. I feel like there are probably enough plants in each of these little cells, plus, you know, in the garden overall, that they should, at this point, hopefully, be able to handle the full strength nutrients. I don't like to put it in right away because it can sometimes burn the leaves, especially the little ones inside. They, like the new ones, I don't know if you can see here, there's a little new one forming, and sometimes what will happen is I get, like, the tips will all burn and shrivel, and it really affects the growth of the plant. So I've been trying to figure out what is the right strength, and I did start them off half strength. Maybe I'll actually try 3/4 strength and see how that goes, because, you know, you can't take it back. On to the pepper plants. So this one I had a little issue with. I actually did end up going in. It was growing upside down, so all I had were roots sticking out, and the leaves were actually down, growing down along the side of the basket. It was a really funny growth pattern. So I don't know how this one will turn out, but what I am going to do is these will be moved upstairs today to go into the farm unit. I'll put one in each side, and then with these I will actually put the cherry tomatoes in as well. So that will free up this Aerogarden, and it will free up this Aerogarden. So these are the little cherry tomatoes right here. They're looking great. And then I can actually take the lettuce and separate those out a little bit. Now the one in here, it's growing, but it doesn't look like it's growing. Like, it grew, but it doesn't look like it's growing. So this one might be done, but that does mean I could probably put in, you know, 2 in each bounty and 1 in a harvest or something, but we'll see. Separate things out a little bit. And then this is the perpetual spinach. It is a, I don't know, it's still floppy and it's really weak down there on the stem. I don't know what's going on. I'm pretty sure it was damping off. This one looks a lot better, but, so I don't think this one had damping off. It's really hard to see, I'm sorry. I don't think this one had damping off. I think maybe this is just the way they grow. They're just, I don't know, maybe they're just a little floppy. I don't have wind in here, so that could be an explanation for what's going on. But who knows? So I think that the cilantro, the tomatoes, and the perpetual spinach have received food. And the lettuce has not. Or the peppers haven't either, because they were still pretty small. So these I might give them a half strength feed just to see if we can start perking them up and getting them to grow a little bit faster. So it's been 13 days, well 14 days according to the Aerogarden, but they did get some water before I was feeding. So they've probably been going a little bit longer than 14 days, honestly. But this is the indoor update. I will shuffle things around and I will show you what I ended up doing. If you're new here, my name is Kathryn. I'm the Aerogarden Homesteader. I am trying to do some homesteading with Aerogarden units, so basically hydroponics, and so far so good. So hit the subscribe button, join along, and let's see how it goes. Welcome back. So this is the new setup. I put 2 of the lettuce plants up here. This is the harvest, so this one and this one I think are from the same, I think they're the same seeds. Again, this one may or may not make it, but they'll have plenty of room. Then down here where the tomatoes were, these are both the same variety as well, so they are just on their own. And finally, these ones were the same variety, so they are also on their own. And finally, here are the peppers and tomatoes in their new home. This was obviously the bigger pepper plant of the two. I feel like both cherry tomatoes were about the same size. There's the other one back there, the other pepper plant, and then here's the cherry tomato. So there is a lot of empty real estate in these right now. If I had sort of been on my game and not busy trying to build a coop, I probably would have done some seed starting for something that grew a lot faster so that I could have just, you know, cut that and then gotten rid of it and, you know, still had the tomatoes and peppers doing fine. But I didn't, so this is where we're at. I do still have the other unit, which is dark right now. I want to do edamame in there. So that's going to require a little bit more prep than I was prepared to do for today. I have to soak the seeds apparently, but I will be doing the same seed starting method with those, so stay tuned for that. I'm hoping I can get my button gear and do that this week and then show you how it worked. Don't know if you'll see the results of it next week. Might be the week after. I don't know how long it takes. And edamame seeds for me, the soybean seeds, they are notorious for just rotting away. So I'm kind of hoping this new seed starting method will help them. But stay tuned for that. I will do it whether they rot or not. And hopefully that one will start growing. And finally on to the outdoor garden update. The tomatoes are looking good. Basil is hiding in the broccoli, which I have no idea if this broccoli is going to go to seed or not. Tomatoes. Oh, my cabbage is finally getting eaten, but it's finally starting to look like cabbage, so I don't know if that's a good thing or not. The dill. Oh my goodness. The dill is massive. I don't know if you can see. This one's got a flower head forming. The ones just behind the trellis have flower heads forming. It's just insane. And I think some of my squash might actually be big enough to start lifting up to the trellis. So I'll have to do that. And this is pretty cool. Some potatoes that sprouted in my kitchen, and I've been saving them because I wanted to get some potatoes going. So I got these big pots. This is I think it's just a regular, like, Idaho spud, but I did plant some red ones, which I like the red ones better, but they're just so expensive. So this is one of the red ones that came up, and right here, so I put one in each pot. I might have another one right here coming up. So I might get some red potatoes coming up, which will be pretty cool. I have flowers on my pepper plant, so hopefully I will get something. This is the mini jalapeno. They are still kind of doing not well, but they are growing, so I don't know what's going on with that. We'll see. My cucumber. I got one here that seems like it's doing well. I got one over there that seems like it's struggling. I don't know if you can see it. It's like burned on the tips, but the inner leaves are there, kind of. And it looks like the other ones I planted are just done. They're just gone. So that's a shame. That's really annoying. But I don't know what to do about that. The strawberries did pretty well. We've been able to get a few harvests out of them, but we only get like a small handful. They just don't pollinate very well unless there's a pollinator. So, you know, it kind of is what it is. We've at least gotten a few. So for all those flowers and all that potential, we didn't get much. Okay, well, here's another one that is definitely going to seed. I think it was just too hot. This one I might actually be able to pick. It's still compact. So it's looking pretty good. Pepper plants are still really small. We've managed to harvest some cherries, which is pretty cool. Our apricots are getting close. The pears are getting bigger. They're going to start looking like real pears soon. You can see the top forming a little bit. Yeah, here's the onion. It's coming along, so that's pretty good. And then I do need to come through, and so I've had some of the peas die back, so I need to harvest the pods so that I have the peas. Some of them still have to dry out, so I could technically eat this just as fresh peas, or I could continue to let them dry out and have dried peas. So it just kind of depends on what I want to do with them, but right now, since the sprinkler system just went, everything's wet. So now would not be a good time to harvest them. And then, it's just some of the tomato plants are getting a little big. I can start weaving them up through the trellis. So there's that. Yeah, so for all these flowers, they didn't really get pollinated. So we only got a few berries. That's just the drawback to these white hula berries. They don't pollinate very well. They absolutely need a pollinator. And when we bought them, we had a pollinator that came with the batch, but it's like you get two, which is fine. I mean, you're not paying for the pollinator, but if you don't keep the runners on the pollinator, then you don't get more. And the problem was our pollinator, it's almost like they didn't put out the runners, so they didn't increase in number, but these ones increased like a weed. Like, it's horrible. If I don't keep on top of these runners, it's just bad. Let's go over and see the herb garden. I have been actually harvesting the catmint, which I still think something is getting in here and eating it. I keep finding broken branches and like pieces I didn't trim off look like they've been eaten. So I don't know. And then over here, I have been actually harvesting the chamomile. There is a slight difference. I don't know if you can see it. See how this one is slightly different from this one. This one, it's like it's opened up a little bit more. So this one, I've been harvesting the ones that look like they've opened a bit more versus these ones. Even though the petals have fallen back, I give it just a tiny bit longer. This is my lemon balm, bee balm, not 100% sure, I don't remember. I should probably start harvesting this, but I've been trying to harvest this one separate from the catmint because I don't want to get them mixed up. So I have actually not harvested this one yet, but I probably should. It's starting to, some of these are starting to get pretty tall. So it smells so good. It might be lemon balm. The sage is looking amazing. Flowers. So I've got the calendula. I think I'm supposed to pick it after the morning dew has burned off and it's dry. Looks like there's a bug in there. But before it is fully open, that is when it is at its most medicinal, I guess. So I've got this one, will probably go a little bit longer. It is full of water. They don't have much of a smell. I got mint here, which I could probably start harvesting, but again, I need to keep this mint separate from the other mint. Oh, it smells so good. Parsley is doing well. So some of the ones that are not doing all that great, there's only like a couple of leaves, so the rest of it looks good. The Thai basil, it's got some pretty little flowers, so that's nice. Still have not harvested any of this basil. I've just been letting it go because I just don't use basil very much. Thyme is looking really good. And then I finally have some marigold. I don't have any California poppy yet, but it'll come when it comes. So, well, that is the outdoor garden. I hope you have found this interesting. I hope you found this tour interesting. Thanks for joining me today. I'll put up some links for some other videos that you might enjoy, and I will see you next time on the Aerogarden Homestead.